in the restaurant. So it's just lots of chilies, lemongrass, galangal, ginger, garlic, cilantro stems, and we just cook it down very, very slowly for like a long time. We have a ground pork. Lots of recipes use like, they call it, in the recipe they call it 3-layer pork. And for a long time I didn't even know what 3-layer pork meant until I found out it was just pork belly. Because it's like layers, so like, oh duh. So we have, so it's ground pork belly. This is tamarind pulp. That's been strained. Some red onions, some. This is galangal. So galangal is like it's in the same family as ginger in the rhizome. It's very woody, like more woodier than ginger is. It's a lot more fragrance and sweeter. But we at the restaurant we grind it because when we use herbs in the restaurant, we really want people to taste the herbs. We don't just like cut into big pieces and just throw it and infuse it and take it out. We literally go out of the way and we actually grind it in a meat grinder. And we've gone through like 6 meat grinders over time because this is not meant to put in the meat grinder. But we grind it, so when we impart it into the dish, you're literally getting that taste. It's still in there. We never infuse it. So we have lemongrass, a little bit of oil, some garlic, some cherry tomatoes, palm sugar, a little bit of chili, and regular fish sauce, and PADAEK. All right. So I'm just gonna put a little oil. I'll not put too much because the pork belly has a lot of oil in it, or fat. Okay. You know, I just want to cook the pork first. So you get like what we call the Maillard reaction, which is like the browning of the natural sugars from meats. It's sort of like that sear, that crust that's very delicious with meats. So I want that, and then once we add some of the ingredients that have like a little moisture, we're just going to scrape it off and create like a fond. So this way you're adding like more depth of flavor. So anything that you see like that's kind of stuck onto the pan, it's not a bad thing. You just want to like add a little bit of water, or you have like wine or something like that, or like red onions, so like that has a little moisture. You just want to like use it, sort of like scrape it off, and then this way you can continue using it. As I said, this is I came across this recipe, so I've been the reason why I got into cooking, and especially with law food, is because I grew up in Virginia and my parents worked all the time. They had all the they rarely were at home, so I spent a lot of time with like nannies and like after school programs. You know, whenever they had a chance to spend time with me, they really wanted to teach me the language and the culture. But because I was so fascinated with like American pop culture and stuff, I sort of like neglected them poorly because I just didn't give them time. And so growing up, I just never understand the language, and I didn't really. But the one thing that was sort of like I was interested was the food. I love the smell of it. I love how you eat with your hands. I love the communal aspect where all of our family members just like sit together and eat and just kind of like laugh and joke and stuff like that. So at one period of time, there was a family gathering, and a bunch of my aunts were like speaking me aloud, and they knew that I couldn't understand. So they like literally told me in front of my face, they're like, "You're not loud. Like you're an American. You don't even know what we're saying. You don't even respect us." And I was just like, "Damn!" Like I got laid out right there. And I remember vividly seeing the faces of my parents and their faces of like distraught and disappointment and embarrassment. And I you know what, I was also embarrassed for them because like they really tried to, and then I just didn't give them the time. So at the same time, I realized that as I look around with all of my other cousins, they were also just like me. Like they were very Americanized. We didn't really like kind of cap ourselves with the culture. And then I realized that literally like in any culture, the only people that are sort of like keeping up with our own culture is like the older generation of our families. And I just sort of wonder like what would happen when eventually they're gone and it's just us. How do we keep continuing expressing ourselves, especially to the generation after us? So I sort of like thought about that, and then like told myself that if I couldn't learn the language, I want to make food my language, because I always really enjoyed the food. So I just started like kind of learning it. But before I could have like sorry to interrupt. I'm gonna put so I'm gonna start adding more of the woodier herbs to sort of cook it down, soften it before adding like the onion and garlic, which cook very fast and quickly. So we have lemongrass here. So it's like I put about a cup and a half of ground pork, and it's just about half a cup of lemongrass. I slice them thinly, but I still like the texture of the lemongrass, where it still kind of like has that twosome. So yeah, so back to what I was saying. Before I could have cooked Lao food, I had to sort of like build a foundation upon myself. So I went through like high school programs. I went to culinary school in upstate New York. I worked in fine dining to sort of like build a lot of experience. Because I feel like if I start cooking Lao food like years ago before then, I wouldn't even understand it, because I look at it I look at recipes not just as a recipe. I look at it as to like why is this dish created? Does it depend on the region? Why does the ingredients go together? Is it because of like the terroir of the country that it grows best in this particular region? And how these cooking techniques? And you realize that Laos is like there's a lot of colonizations. It's like heavily influenced in China, Thai, Vietnam, and also the French as well. So I started like wanted to kind of like break it down. So I've been looking through a lot of old recipes, from the recipes that my grandmother gave me, or I went to like look at old books and stuff, and like these recipes are whacked out. Like they have no measurement. It's like the recipe calls like 1 soup bowl of fish sauce. You're like, okay, is it this soup bowl or is it like this soup bowl? Because it's like I don't know. But so this way, like what I learned is that it's not about measuring and like freaking about making it perfect. It's about your instinct and like going with the flow, learning from your mistakes, and just trying to like really, understand that. So I remember the first time I was learning how to cook Lao food with my mom, and I remember she was just like throwing things. She would like grab like plastic spoons, not like a real measuring spoon, and start throwing things and like putting hands. And I was like, Mom, how much you put? I said, I put this much. I was like, what is, I don't know how much is that. So I used to get so mad. I would literally like grab the spoon and like put it on top of a scale, and then like it would just like stress me out. I was like, because I wanted to know how to make this dish. And I realized that, and my mom would taste it, she'd go, oh, it needs more sugar. And I'm tasting like, oh, okay. So it's like literally your instinct. It's just like how we all should cook. All right, so the lemongrass is getting kind of a little bit brown and kind of getting crispy. So I'm gonna add the guango. So again, this is about half a cup. Okay. So I've only been cooking Lao food for about, I would say like 4 or 5 years, but I feel like that I'm still learning, because there's such a deep rootedness about like Laos, and for me like I wanted to sort of like engage with like my culture. It's like weird to say, because I feel like when I'm cooking Lao food at the restaurants or at home, I feel like I'm cooking with my grandmother or my ancestors by my side. I didn't really get to cook a lot of I don't have like a grandmother story like a lot of people do. I wish, because I think it just sounds amazing every time I hear it. But I didn't get that because my grandmother were living in Laos or in California, so didn't really get to spend a lot of time with them. But I feel like that I'm making it up by just cooking this food every day and just learning about it, and implying it into our menus. And when people come to the restaurant, that they're feeling there's like a sense of home and family that what we try to do at the restaurant. So it's like a really, really special thing that we're doing at the restaurant. All right. Okay, next, I'm gonna add, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm like confused. All right, it's gonna add the red onions. So like, I'm not, with the recipe, I'm not dumping everything in, because what happens is like you're literally steaming everything and you're not getting a lot of like the nuances of the ingredients, of the individual ingredients. So when you're tasting it, you're getting like all the essence of it. So that's why I'm adding step by step, but I'm adding it by order, by like what takes the longest versus what takes the shortest. And again, like when you're cooking ingredients individually, you're letting them shine on their own. All right. What do you guys think of the fish sauce? It stinks through. I told you, it kind of sucks when you're like going out with friends or you're going on a date, and like it's like implied in your skin. I take a shower like 3 times and it's stuck in me. I'm trying to figure it out. Again, just scrape the pan to make sure nothing is sticking. Also, you don't want like anything burning. Okay. All right. Next, I'm gonna add the garlic. Sorry, it was a half a cup of the red onions and then half a cup of sliced garlic. You can mince it. I like having the ingredients kind of like not minced. I still like them in like slices because I like the texture of it. I mean, there's certain things that I like things smooth, like yogurt, but but I like this to have a lot of texture because when you have food with texture, it's more fun to eat. It's more fun to eat. You know, at our restaurant, when we're creating new recipes, if I'm not laughing and giggling about the food I'm tasting, then I don't think that the guests are going to have that same reaction. If I'm eating, I'm like, I don't want my guests to be like, I don't know. I want them to be like laughing and like, because I want them to sort of enjoy it. That's how I feel. I tell my cooks. It's funny, they think I'm weird because I'm just eating, I'm just like laughing. They're like, this guy's nuts. I don't know why I want to work for him. Crazy. All right. Oh gosh, I'm making a mess. All right, next I'm gonna add is the red curry paste. Again, I forgot to ask, if you don't have galangal, you can replace it with ginger. If you don't have like red onions, or you can use shallots. That's totally fine. White onions, whatever. Again, it's like cooking is about like your own taste and what do you want to add to it. Kind of make it your own. Make it like your own style. All right. So the red curry paste is already like cooked. So when you add it, you don't need to like cook it down much more. It's already like been cooked for hours and hours. Oh yeah, make sure I have a towel on the handle, like, because I don't know if you see I'm just like doing this. I should have a towel here so I'm not like burning myself.
Yeah, really.
All right. So I added cherry tomatoes, and again you can use like plum tomatoes, Roma tomatoes, any of that stuff. I mean, whatever you have to cook on fire, like, you know, gas, electric, anything that works. All right. So next, I'm gonna add this is the fish sauce. So it's like more like a brown. This is what we normally would see. Just add in there. Because the PADAEK is like really salty. I just want more, when I add the PADAEK, I want to still imply that seasoning from the salt, but I want that funkiness. But I don't want it to put too much where it's going to like overpower all the other ingredients. Making a mess here. All right. So when I added the fish sauce, everything from the bottom is now you can't really see it, but it's off. Trust me. All right. Next, I'm gonna add tamarind. Tamarind is just gonna add some of like the tanginess of the dish. Also a little bit of like just a little bit of moisture involved too. Again, like with our food, like our profiles is like that funky, sour, herbaceous from all the herbs that we use, and a little bit of spice. So for me, I like my food a little bit sour because I think it sort of like awakens the palate a bit. It makes it more inviting to go back for more. All right. Okay. So I'm gonna add this guy. Looks great. I mean, once you start hitting it on the pan, It's gonna smell it. Make sure you have all your windows open. Good. Usually at the restaurant when we brew our PADAEK, we do it like early in the morning. It's either like my mom or myself or our head chef in the kitchen. Because a lot of my Hispanic cooks, they don't like the smell. They're like, it's like they call it the stinky sauce. I'm like, yeah, they're like, that's what it is, a stinky sauce. I don't know. All right, so now I'm gonna add. This is just like a Korean chili powder. It's not necessarily spicy. It's more of like a smoky. It's almost like smoked paprika. I'm just adding it for color, but again, like more of a nuance and flavor. This is Thai chili powder. Yeah, this is wicked spicy. So I like mine really spicy. I think that's fairly enough. And this is palm sugar, because again, there's a lot of like aggressive flavors in here, like spice, herbs, the sour, and when you eat it, it's just like it's gonna destroy your palate. So we're gonna add palm sugar to sort of bounce out a bit. And again, if you don't have palm sugar, you can use regular sugar, brown sugar, maple syrup. No, not really. All right. All right. I'm gonna add the pork back. So this dish, as I said before, it's like a dipping sauce. So, you know, it's almost like when you have tortilla chips with guacamole. In this case, we use like sticky rice and some raw vegetables. You want to use ingredient or like vegetables and rice because they're such neutral in flavor that you don't want something that's also aggressive to sort of eat with this sauce to like destroy your palate. So you want something refreshing to sort of make it more of a palatable bite. All right, I'm gonna taste it. That's really good. I think it needs more fish. It needs more of this. I mean, when you look at it, it almost looks like ragu. Like you can put like some pasta in there. You're done for the day. It's so good. All right. The last thing I'm gonna put is kaffir lime leaves. So kaffir lime leaf is leaf from the kaffir lime. All right, that's it. Yeah. So, all right. So, does any of you had kaffir lime leaves before? Like they're super fragrant, and they're also very woody. So, yeah. If you ever had a smell, I'm just gonna pass it. It's like super fragrant. So I'm just going to thinly slice it, and again, it's a woody herb, so you don't want to cut it too big, and then it gets like stuck in your teeth. That's kind of how it happens. So just slice it as thin as possible. And if it looks too big to you, you know, you can just chop it a bit more. Totally fine. Okay. All right. So I want to add it last because I sort of like I don't want to add it too early in the stage, just that the kaffir lime essence is gonna get wiped off. You want to add it towards the end, so this way everything sort of like lifts itself, makes it like more that fragrance, that citrusy quality to it. Yeah. I mean, this dish itself is like relatively quick to make. You know, for like dinner parties and stuff like that, you could just like You can even make it in advance. It just like you just want to cool it down at room temp and then just store it into like a container and then put it in your refrigerator. And when you're ready to go, just get like a nice pot or a pan, put a little bit of oil in there and just like reheat it up. And then just put it into like a nice vessel, serve with some vegetables and stuff, and then you have yourself a happy guest at your there. Or, as I said, you can get some pasta and just like freaking have a bomb dinner. So good. All right. Again, if you're like a vegetarian or vegan, for this dish, you don't have to put the pork in there. We actually make it without pork occasionally. And again, if you don't like fish sauce or you're a vegetarian, you can also use like a soy sauce. Because soy sauce is literally like the same method. It's just instead of fish, it's soybeans. Very easy. How much time do I have? Plenty of time. Okay, cool. All right, so it's pretty much done. I just have some cool plates here to put in there. It's cool bowl. All right. Fancy. Oh, okay, cool. All right. So this is pretty much ready to go. Yeah, it's good. All right. So I just, again, you just put it into a plate. Doesn't have to be too fancy. Clean off the rim there. So I'm just gonna top it. You know, I want to sort of make it fun when you eat it. You know, everything right now is like soft. So I'm gonna add a little bit more texture to it. So we have a little bit of like fried shallots in there. Kind of go crazy with that. So that when you eat it, you get like different textures there. It's just very fun. Okay. I have a little bit of dill. We use a lot of dill at the restaurant. It's actually my mother's favorite herb, so we actually put a lot more than what we normally would put. But it just adds like a nice sort of different complexity of freshness and herbaceous note to it. There. And lastly, these are dried chilies. So at the restaurant, when we use like Thai chilies, we actually have half of them like fresh and half of them dried. And the reason why we do that is because the dried aspect of it is more for the heat element, and then the freshness is more like that fruity notes and kind of chili quality to it. When people say like fruity note, they're like, well, I don't get fruity note. It just tastes like spicy. Look at there. Put it right here. All right. I have some zucchini and some cucumbers, sort of eat, and some radishes to eat along with it. And again, you can cut them like about like a ½ inch thick. There. Let's put it onto the rim, make it look all fancy. And then same thing with your cucumbers. And some radishes. Just like quarter them. Okay. All right. That's it. Oh, thank you. Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Get it out.